Alright, to continue with the object relations theory, we now go to the discussion of John Bowlby's attachment theory and Mary Ainsworth. Okay, so John Bowlby's attachment theory. John Bowlby was born in London, where his father was a well-known surgeon. From an early age, Bowlby was interested in natural science, medicine, and psychology, subjects he studied at Cambridge University. After receiving a medical degree, he started his practice in psychiatry and psychoanalysis in 1933, and about the same time he began training in child psychiatry under Melanie Klein. And during the World War II, Bowlby served as an army psychiatrist, and in 1946 he was appointed director of the Department for Children and Parents of the Tavistock Clinic. During the late 1950s, Bowlby spent some time at Stanford's Center for the Advanced Study in the Behavioral Sciences, but returned to London, where he remained until his death in 1990. So as you can see, he is already interested in studying children and parenting, no? Kaya he is also one of the proponents of the attachment theories. Okay, to continue, the attachments formed during childhood have an important impact on adulthood. Okay, yan yung ini-emphasize din ni John Bowlby. So according to him, lahat no ng klase ng relationship during the adulthood were also impacted or influenced no by our attachments during childhood. And he observed three stages of this separation anxiety. And so, what is the focus of John Bowlby's theory was the separation anxiety. No, doon kasi, actually, doon din kay Mahler, di ba, yung separation individuation. No, doon kadalasan kasi nagkakaroon ng issue or problem, no, doon nagkakaroon ng, kumbaga doon dapat ah, mabigyan ng focus yung development ng bata pagdating doon sa part na yon, doon sa separation, individuation. So, according to John Bowlby, itong sinasabi niyang separation anxiety ay meron daw tatlong stages. Okay, so number one, when the caregiver is first out of sight, infants will cry, resist soothing by other people, and search for their caregiver. So this stage is the protest stage. Yan. So parang sa Tagalog, protesta, ganun. So kapag nawawala, kapag merong something new or something has changed, ah nawiwindang, 'di ba? Nawawala sa ano, sa focus ang mga infants. So in a way, parang pag sinabing protest, nag-aalsa, 'di ba? Nagkakaroon ng parang aggression, no? So hindi siya mapatahan, no? Kung siya man ay umiiyak ng kahit na sinong tao, at ang hinahanap nila ay yung kanilang caregiver, yung primary, no? Yung someone that they were attached to. Okay, so that is the protest stage. Alright, so hindi talaga madali ang pagiging individual. Sa umpisa, it's very difficult. Okay, so protest also means difficulty, struggle, ano pa, challenges. Yan. So, hindi talaga siya madali. Adjustment, di ba? And then, second stage, as separation continues, infants become quiet, sad, passive, listless, and apathetic. This second stage is called despair. Ayan. So, in a way, parang nagko-cool down. Okay, nagko-cool down. However, it depicts depression in a way, no? Sadness, quiet, stillness, silence. So, parang in a way, parang kumalma nga, pero may sudden lowering of emotions. Okay? Kasi parang siguro na-realize niya unconsciously na wala namang magagawa eh, kahit magwala ako, eh wala na siya. 'Di ba? Parang gano'n. So, manahimik na lang ako, no? Naging sad na lang ako, umiyak na lang ako, or yun nga, quiet. So, yun, despair after the protest. And then, the last stage, the only one unique to humans. Ayan. So, tayo lang daw meron ito is detachment. Alright? So, during this stage, infants become emotionally detached from other people, including their caregiver. So, this happens kasi nga, kailangan natin ng matuto mag-isa, 'no? Kasi hindi laging nandiyan yung ating mga caregiver, 'no? Especially kung yun nga, usually the mother, hindi sila laging nandiyan, or the people around us, the people that we're attached to, they're not always there. That's why we need to detach ourselves, to be able to become individual, 'di ba? To become our own separate self. But that's the problem with detachment. Kasi you become emotionless. You become um, isolated, di ba? You don't want to be intimate again to people because you have the fear that these people will leave you. Alright? So, parang may ganong, problem or issue along the way sa separation anxiety. Okay? And then, Bowlby's theory rests on two fundamental assumptions. So here we go. First, a responsive and accessible caregiver, usually the mother, must create a secure base for the child. Okay? Kailangan ma, ma-sealed na ng nanay na safe ka. No? Sabi nga, the safest place on earth is our mother's arms. Kumaga parang, um, ma-feel mo dapat na you are safe, no? Na you are comforted, you are secured, so you can trust me. Diba? You can trust anything because it's safe, no? Even if may challenges, even if there's struggle along the way, it's okay. Kasi alam mo na safe pa rin. Na alam mo na may sasalo sa'yo. Alam mo na meron kang someone that you can depend on. So, you will be able to trust and, of course, hope. Alright? And then, a second assumption of attachment theory is that a bonding relationship or lack thereof, no, becomes internalized and serves as a mental working model on which future friendships and love relationships are built. O, diba? So, sinasabi sa attachment theory na yung pagkakaroon ng bond or yung kawalan nito, okay, lack thereof, kawalan o meron na bonding relationship, yun yung ating ini-internalize, no? May nagkakaroon tayo ng abstract concept of attachment. And yun yung nagiging modelo natin, prototype, on how we create, build friendship or love relationship. See? So if you don't have a bonding relationship according to attachment theories, well, it's very difficult for you to mingle, to socialize, or even to create, how much more, di ba? To create friendship or intimate relationship with someone. Okay? And then, attachment style, according to John Bowlby, is a relationship between two people and not a trait given to the infant by the caregiver. Okay? So ito ay wino-work out. Because it is a relationship, meaning it is to be worked out. It is to be uh, to to be built upon, no? Kailangan mo siyang gawin, kailangan mo siyang aksyonan, may pagkilos, di ba? May behavior, may relasyon. And it took time, di ba? It will take time to build a relationship. Yun. So, yun yung attachment style. Okay? It's a two-way street. Ika nga, hindi po pwedeng si infant lang or si caregiver lang. It must work at the presence of two individuals, the infant and the caregiver. Ayan. They must be responsive to each other and each must influence the other's behavior. Ayan. Oo nga, nandyan nga ang caregiver but you're not responsive to the child's needs. So, attachment will be difficult to build, no? If that would be the case. And if also you don't influence the child's behavior, then there is no attachment or any relationship. Okay, so according naman kay Mary Ainsworth, dinagdagan niya, no, yung pinagpatuloy niya yung mga theories and she had came up with this strange situation experiment, ayan, which I will discuss later. Okay, Mary Dinsmore Salter Ainsworth was born in Glendale, Ohio, the daughter of the president of an aluminum goods business. She received her BA, MA, and PhD all from the University of Toronto, where she also served as instructor and lecturer. During her long career, she taught and conducted research at several universities and institutes in Canada, the United States, the United Kingdom, and Uganda. She developed a technique for measuring the type of attachment style that exists between the caregiver and the infant, known as the strange situation. This procedure consists of a 20-minute laboratory session in which a mother and infant are initially alone in a playroom. Then a stranger comes into the room and after a few minutes, the stranger begins a brief interaction with the infant. Okay, kaya tinawag siyang strange situation because you are in the presence of a stranger. Okay, the situation is you are in the presence of a stranger. And it feels awkward to be in the presence of a stranger facing you, di ba? So, kaya strange situation. The mother then goes away for two separate 2-minute periods. Okay, so umalis si mother. Naiwan yung infant and the stranger. Alright, and then during the first period, the infant is left alone with the stranger. And during the second period, the infant is left completely alone. Okay, the critical behavior is this. How the infant reacts when the mother returns. This behavior is the basis of the attachment style rating. Okay? Yung returning or yung reunion. Alright? Actually, yung introduction, no, meron tatlong ano yan, introduction nung stranger dun sa infant, and then the separation, kasi umalis si mother, naiwan si stranger and si infant, o kaya naman naiwan si infant alone, and the reunion of the mother and the infant, nung bumalik na dun sa kwarto, yung nanay. And that reunion is the basis of the attachment style rating. So Ainsworth and her associates found 3 attachment style ratings: the secure, the anxious resistant, and avoidant. Actually, 4 na siya ngayon. Meron tayong tinatawag din na disorganized. Okay? And then these anxious resistant, avoidant, and disorganized are all part of insecure. Okay? Kasi dalawa lang naman. Secure, either secure, then you're good, and then you're insecure, and then you have these 3 types of insecure. Okay, let's talk about the secure. Insecure attachment, when their mother returns, infants are happy, and enthusiastic and initiate contact. For example, they will go over to their mother and want to be held. All securely attached infants are confident in the accessibility and responsiveness of their caregiver. And this security and dependability provides the foundation for play and exploration. Kasi alam mo secured ka, alam mo safe, alam mo kahit mawala yung nanay mo, safe ka pa rin. At kahit nandyan na siya, bumalik na siya, safe ka pa rin. And when you feel safe, you're ready to explore, you're ready to play anytime, anywhere. Because you're safe. Because you feel safe, you feel secured, and you trust the mother or the people around you. Ganun yung nangyayari sa secure attachment. Okay? And then, sa anxious resistant attachment style, infants are ambivalent. Okay? When their mother leaves the room, they become unusually upset. And, no, yung separation. And when their mother returns, they seek contact with her, but reject attempts at being soothed. Diba? Parang, okay, gusto kong i-held mo ko, gusto kong kargahin mo ko, yakapin mo ko. Pero, parang ayaw mo rin naman. Nilalayo mo, tinataboy mo, or tinatapon mo yung mga toys na binibigay sa'yo. So, ganun, no? With the anxious resistant, actually, resistant. Attachment style, infants give very conflicted messages. Okay? On the one hand, they seek contact with their mother, while on the other hand, they squirm to be put down and may throw away toys that their mother has offered them. Okay, so ito yung mga nagtatantrums. Ito yung mga tinatawag natin may S, no? May sumpong. Yan. They are difficult to be soothed or patahanin, anxious resistant. And then the third attachment is the anxious avoidant. With this style, infants stay calm when their mother leaves. Wala siyang pakialam. They accept the stranger, and when their mother returns, they ignore and avoid her. Ayan. So, ito yung mga neglected, possibly neglected, or even abandoned children, wherein the mother or the parents are usually out, or they leave the house most of the time. They have no bonding relationship with the child. That's why wala talaga na form na love, walang na form na intimacy. So, doon sa kanina, yung sa resistant, kasi meron, yun nga lang, parang conflicting din yung mother or yung parents, no? Parang minsan nandiyan, minsan wala, no? Hindi consistent, kaya hindi rin consistent yung reaction ng bata, no? They also give conflicting messages. Yung para bang sinasabi mo na dito ka lang, nandito ka, hindi mo ko iwan, pero iniwan mo naman ako. So, may ganong doon sa resistant. Kaya mahirap yun, no? Yun yung mga tao na parang, yung nakatikim. That's why they long for it. Kasi nakatikim sila. No? Natikman nila, masarap pala. Gusto ko pa. So, sila yung mas maghahanap ng pagmamahal. Kaya lang, mali yung way nila or yung mali yung konsepto nila kung paano ba magmahal. That's why some of the anxious resistant attachment, some of the individuals who has these are, they please people, di ba? They want the approval of people. They're very compliant. Kumbaga parang kung ano yung gusto ng ibang tao na gagawin mo kasi gusto mo mahalin ka, ganun. Or pwede rin naman, ito yung mga tao na yung kapag papasok sila sa relasyon, tapos kapag nararamdaman na nila na, oops, naku-fall na ako, so, alis na ako. Parang ganun. So, they are fearful of loving, of investing their feelings, emotions in the relationship. Yan. It's because hindi secure yung kanilang attachment. Possibly. In both kinds of insecure attachment, the anxious resistant and anxious avoidant, infants lack the ability to engage in effective play and exploration. Of course, because they don't feel secured. Nakakatakot, di ba? Hindi na sila mag-explore, hindi na sila mag-play sa environment because they are afraid, di ba? They are afraid to invest, they are afraid to discover something, to explore themselves in the relationship because they feel na no one can be trusted. Walang sasalo sa kanila when they fall over. Alright? Inisip nila na no one can be trusted. This is not a safe place for me. No one loves me. So, ganun. No? So, that's why attachment is a very, very important aspect of our development, of the development of the personality, actually. And some or majority, I suppose, of relationship problems stem from having problems with attachment. Okay, so psychotherapy is, ito yung mga pwedeng, kumbaga parang treatment using the theory, no, when your basis or foundation in helping clients. Ito yun. So to foster negative transference and aggressive fantasies, Klein provided each child with a variety of small toys, pencil and paper, paint, crayons, and so forth. And she substituted play therapy for Freudian dream analysis and free association, believing that young children express their conscious and unconscious wishes through play therapy. So yung play therapy, kasi nga nakafocus yung mga object relations theories natin sa children, so ang isa sa mga naisip nilang psychotherapy is play therapy. Yan, parang counterpart siya ng free association ni Freud na kung saan you can say whatever you want, whatever comes in your mind, say it, no? No matter how insignificant it is. Ngayon, sa mga bata, dahil hindi pa naman sila ganun ka-verbal, limited pa lang yung mga words na alam nila, and mostly, hindi pa nila kayang i-put into words yung kanilang mga thoughts and feelings. That's why you engage them to play. Yan. So, pwedeng playing, pwedeng drawing, ayan, para mailabas nila yung mga nararamdaman nila through drawings, through playing, yan. Okay? Lahat yan, lahat ng unconscious and conscious wishes, lalabas sa kanilang play. That's why, di ba, sa mga trauma patients, sa mga children or abused children, we ask them to hold or to play with the dolls, the female doll, the male doll, di ba? Sometimes, ano, a female child who was raped will be having difficulty holding the male doll or will be crying, no? Kapag nakita niya yung lalaking doll, no? Dun pa lang sa ano na yon. So, hindi niya nasasabi pero yung reaction niya or yung paraan ng paglalaro niya dun sa mga dolls signifies something, di ba? It symbolizes something. So, that's how you use play therapy. And the aim of Kleinian therapy is to reduce depressive anxieties and persecutory fears and to mitigate the harshness of internalized objects. Okay, and then to accomplish this aim, Klein encouraged her patients to re-experience early emotions and fantasies, but this time with the therapies pointing out the differences between reality and fantasy, between conscious and unconscious. So, for example, sa drawing, habang nagpipaint siya, habang nagdo-draw, the therapist pointed or will ask the client to make kwento, di ba? To tell a story about the drawing, unti-unti, no? Slowly, and then, kumbaga parang you let the patient or the client to re-experience again, di ba? Na mapuntahan ulit yung yung nangyari sa past na nagpa-trauma sa kanya with the presence of the therapist. Yan. Para mas guided siya, mas feel niya na secured siya, di ba? Knowing na may someone na sasalo sa kanya kung magbe-breakdown siya. Unlike kapag mag-isa lang siya, hindi niya alalahanin yun. Hindi niya susubukan na i-re-experience yung trauma. Okay, so these are the related research of the object relations. Yan, Smolak and Levine found that bulimia was associated with over-separation from parents, whereas anorexia was associated with high levels of guilt and conflict over separation from parents. Ayan. Kasi nga yung bulimia, this is bulimia and anorexia are disorders pertaining to irrational fear of becoming overweight. But, yun nga, sa bulimic kasi, the patterns, the eating patterns are disrupted. Okay? Kasi ang normal eating is to swallow the food and swallow, no? Chew and swallow. While abnormal is to chew and then swallow and then vomit. No? So, abnormal yon. Hindi yun tama. No? Hindi yun, it's not the way how we eat our food. And then, sa anorexia naman, it's, ano to? The focus naman dito is the weight. No? Kumbaga talaga significant yung weight loss. And even if you lose weight so much, you still see yourself as fat. Hindi mo nakikita na payat ka na. Okay, so you restrict your eating. Yeah, you also vomit, pwede rin. And yun nga, what's the defining significant factor is the weight. Sa bulimic kasi, you can be of a normal weight, however, you have this abnormal eating pattern. Pero not necessarily na payat ka. Someone with bulimia can be overweight, can be normal weight. Okay? So, yun. Kasi yung food is an object also. That's why medyo theoretically, nire-relate, no, yung eating disorder sa object relations theory because we, we have this difficulty to become, yung ma-detach yung selves natin sa food. Yan, parang na-internalize natin na yung food is part of ourselves. Now, we become preoccupied with thinking about food. No? Hindi porke anorexic siya, hindi siya nag-iisip ng food. Actually, it's vice versa. He or she thinks about food all the time. All the time. That's why she restricted herself from eating. Diba? Ironic. But ganun talaga siya. And so with bulimia, that's why may guilt feeling kapag kumakain siya. Kasi dapat daw hindi siya kumakain, pero hindi niya maiwasan. Parang ganun. Okay? So when insecurely attached people of either gender are threatened, they turn to an external object, ayun nga, food, as a means by which to comfort themselves. Okay, so parang, it happens, no? Yung mga stress eating patterns. Okay, so, kasi nga pag na-stress tayo, di ba, we don't feel secure. And by eating, somehow we feel secure, we feel safe. Alright? So, yun. Early attachment styles would distinguish the kind, duration, and stability of adult love relationships. So, yung ating daw mga attachment styles, malalaman dito kung anong klase, gaano tatagal, gaano ka-stable o katibay yung ating mga adult love relationships. And securely attached adults were less cynical about love in general, had longer lasting relationships, and were less likely to divorce than either avoidant or anxious ambivalent adults. Leaders with a secure attachment style neither anxious nor avoidant are more effective than insecurely attached leaders. Yan yung mga according sa mga researches na rin na ang basis nila is the object relations theory. So here is the concept of humanity of the object relations theory. Because they emphasize the mother-child relationship and view these experiences as crucial to later development, object relations theorists rate high on determinism and low on free choice. No? Same with the psychoanalysis. Kasi nga, parang sinasabi mo na nga na, kaya ka ganyan ngayon is because ganito ka dati. That's why you're acting like that is because you have insecure attachment, you feel that you were neglected or abandoned by your mother, or you don't have a good relationship with your mother, that's why ganyan ka ngayon. So, determinism siya. And you don't, actually, low lang naman. You still have a choice, but yun nga, you have a little chance of changing that. Kasi nga, yun na yun eh. Yun na yung pattern of attachment mo. So, parang i-repeat mo lang siya. Ganun siya. Ganun yung concept, no? However, it can be either pessimist or optimist depending on the quality of the early mother-infant relationship. So, syempre, kapag secure, malamang optimistic, and then kapag insecure, malamang pessimistic or negative. Tends to be more causal. Of course, kasi nga determinism, no? Yung cause. Early experiences are the primary shapers of personality. And then high on unconscious determinants, because most of the theories trace the prime determinants of behavior to very early infancy, a time before a verbal language. So, how can they say na naiisip na yun ng mga infants, knowing na hindi pa nga sila nakakapagsalita? So, how can you say na nag-iisip sila? Diba? So, parang, nandiyan yung usapin ng cognition. So, when can you say na, how can you say that the child already thinks when in fact, she doesn't speak? Okay? So, how can you say that meron na siyang idea, meron na siyang knowledge, di ba? If, yun nga, hindi pa siya nagsasalita. So, more or less, high talaga siya sa unconscious determinants. The intimacy and nurturing that infants receive from their mother are environmental experiences or social determinants. Alright? Hindi siya physical. Hindi porke pinapadede mo, binibigay mo lahat, pinapainom mo ng vitamins, ay okay na yon. No. It must be coupled with intimacy. Right? Care, nurturing, bonding, relationship, social relationship. So, environmental siya. And tend more towards similarities. Similarities instead of being unique. Why? Kasi, yun nga, kinategorize natin to secure, insecure. So, many people are secure and many people also are insecure. And knowing the characteristics of having a secure and insecure attachment will lead to similarities among people with similarities among people that belong to that type or kind of attachment. Diba? Parang ganun. Kaya similarities. Object relations theories assume that the mother-child relationship during the first 4 or 5 months is the most critical time for personality development. Yan talaga yun eh. Kaya yung phrase na di ka mahal ng nanay mo, dito talaga galing yun. Sa object relations theory. Na most likely may bahid ng katotohanan because it's a theory, no? Klein believed that an important part of any relationship is the internal psychic representations of early significant objects such as the mother's breast or the father's penis. Yun daw yun, sabi ni Klein. Yung abstract concept, no, yung internal psychic representation ng mga early significant object. Yan. So, parang yun nga, yung dede, tsaka yung penis ng ating, kumbaga parang in-internalize natin lahat ng characteristics that belong to those external objects. Okay? Good and bad. Yan. Infants introject these psychic representations into their own psychic structure and then project them onto an external object that is another person. Para bang meron kang halimbawa, meron kang notion na dahil ang nanay mo ay mabait, maalaga, marunong magluto. Dapat paglaki mo, yung mga babaeng makikilala mo, ganun din, same sa nanay mo. Parang ganun, kailangan mabait, maalaga at marunong din magluto. Diba? So, pinoproject mo dun sa external object, yung mga na-introject mo na psychic representation ng mga early significant objects mo, which is your parents. So, these internal pictures are not accurate representations of the other person, but are remnants of earlier interpersonal experiences. Kasi nga yung experience mo sa kanila eh. Yun yung naging karanasan mo sa nanay mo o sa tatay mo. Kaya dala-dala mo yun hanggang paglaki mo. Yung representation na yun, yung internal psychic representation na yun. Hindi naman, lahat may dede. Diba? Pero, lahat ng babae may dede, pero, mag-iiba-iba yung representation niya. Depende kasi sa na-experience mo dun sa dede na yun. Dun sa nanay mo. Okay? Yan. And then the ego, which exists at birth, can sense both destructive and loving forces, that is, both a nurturing and a frustrating breast. Diba? Kasi kailangan maging aware ka, ma-absorb mo yun na a breast can be destructive, can also be loving. A mother can also be loving, can also be destructive. Okay? To deal with the nurturing breast and the frustrating breast, infants split these objects into good and bad. Anong infants yon? Kasi nga, hindi mo kayang maintindihan pa yun eh. Hindi mo kayang integrate yon. Mahirap. It's confusing for an infant. Non-verbal pa yung infant. Hindi niya pa alam yun. So, kailangan ma-split niya yun. Good kung good, bad kung bad. Pero, habang siya'y lumalaki, kailangan niya rin ma-integrate yun. Okay? Yan. While also splitting their own ego, giving them a dual image of self. Yan. Meron siyang good me, bad me. Klein believed that the superego comes into existence much earlier than Freud had speculated, and that it grows along with the Oedipal process rather than being a product of it. Okay, so mas maaga yung superego. Hindi siya after ng Oedipus complex. Kundi bago pa man, meron nang na-develop na superego because you have now, as early as months, di ba, months old, you have now the image of what is good and what is bad. And you feel guilty of doing bad. And during the little girl adopts a feminine position toward both parents. She has a positive feeling both for her mother's breasts and for her father's penis, which she believes will feed her with babies. Sometimes the little girl develops hostility toward her mother, who she fears will retaliate against her and rob her of her babies. So yun naman yung niya, paliwanag niya doon, no? Kay Freud kasi sa Electra complex, na hindi naman niya talaga dinefine what's the female Oedipus complex, is that the female child is angry towards the mother because she thinks that the mother is the one to blame dahil wala siyang penis, no? And then she become interested or attracted to the father because yung wish niya to have that penis will be fulfilled if she will carry her dad's babies. Parang ganon. Okay? Para pa nagkaroon siya ng anak ng lalaki, so dun lang mapufulfill yung wish niya na magkaroon din ng penis. With most girls, however, the female Oedipus complex is resolved without any antagonism or jealousy toward their mother, according to Klein. No? The little boy also adopts a feminine position during the early Oedipal years. At that time, he has no fear of being castrated as punishment for his sexual feelings for his mother. Okay, so wala siyang takot na siya ipuputulan, no, bilang parusa ng kanyang pagiging attracted sa kanyang nanay. Okay? And then later, the boy projects his destructive drive onto his father who he fears will bite or castrate him. Ayan. The male Oedipus complex is resolved when the boy establishes a good relations with both parents and feels comfortable about his parents having sexual intercourse with one another. Yan.